Yo, what's up guys? It's your boy, Scotty Smooth, and today we're going to jump into another Call of Duty video. We're going to dive into the Black Ops Cold War settings, the best frames per second settings, and the best visual settings for PC. I do have a video on the best settings for Warzone. I'm going to put the link to that video in the description below. Also, I'll put a card in the top right there of the video. So if you do want to check out the settings for Warzone, go check that video out. But this is going to be primarily for Black Ops Cold War settings. Again, the best frames per second and also the best visual settings you can get. If this video helps you guys out, make sure you give a like, thumbs up. If you want to subscribe to the channel, go ahead, hit that sub button. I do stream on YouTube, so if you do subscribe, make sure you're not missing out on any of the live streams. We have a good time. We come in, we do our damn thing, and absolutely dominate. But as always, I appreciate you guys for stopping by, and I hope this video makes your day a little bit better. Let's get into the settings, baby. Peace! Alright guys, so I'm not going to spend too much time in the keyboard and mouse settings. I will just go over a couple little things. Again, I want to make sure that the video is primarily for your best frames per second and the best visual settings you can get in this game. I'll talk a little bit about a couple things in the keyboard and mouse, but really won't spend too much time in here. So mouse sense, stuff like that, you guys can just copy. ADS sensitivity, timing, just copy all that stuff if you want. If you're new to Black Ops, maybe you're just trying to figure it out, see what works best for you, you can always start here. Now, the sensitivity, I wouldn't recommend throwing that on 12 right away. If you're brand new, throw that on maybe 5, 6, see what works best for you. Same with the advanced settings. Feel free to copy that below. Pause the video if you want. I don't want to get too much into it just so I'm not wasting your guys' time on this stuff. Same with the gameplay. I'm just going to scroll down here. You guys can copy the gameplay however you would like. You can do this however you would want to, whatever your heart desires. If this is how you want to go, then go this route. If not, that's okay. Bam. All right, now I'm not doing any of the key bindings. I might save that for another video for my best key bindings, but the big thing is the graphics, the FPS, the visuals that we're going to jump into. So the first thing I want you to do is you need to change your display mode to full screen. Sometimes players have it on windowed. Sometimes it's on windowed full screen. Don't do that. Throw it on full screen. Because you know why? It's going to save your frames, pretty much. Because it's going to help the game focus on just the screen, nothing else in the background, full screen. Does that make sense? I don't know, but just listen to me and do full screen. Monitor 1, whatever monitor you're playing on. Refresh rate. Bump this up as high as you can. I know it's sad. I'm on 144 hertz. Yeah, I know. Now, if you have a 240 hertz monitor, throw that sucker on 240. Max it out, because this is going to give you the best refresh rate. It's going to give you the fastest refresh rate that you can get on your monitor, ultimately making the game as smooth as possible, right? Gameplay VSync, you can disable this. The menu VSync, you don't need it, because it's going to limit your frame rate. You don't want to limit your frame rate. You don't want to limit your frame rate. You want to have it as much as possible, as maxed as possible. Frame rate is good. Frame rate is your friend. Now, render resolution. I have my display resolution at 920 by 1080. I highly recommend that. Keep a 100 render resolution. Of course, if you have a better monitor, if you want a higher resolution, you can do that. But just keep in mind that you're probably going to get the best bang for your buck, the best visual frames per second combination by going 1920 by 1080. But again, it definitely depends on your monitor. I keep it there. Works perfectly for me. Aspect ratio, I have it on automatic. I believe automatic is also set to the 16:9. So most monitors, you would have 16:9 aspect ratio. Some are different based on your monitor. Again, it's really going to come down to what your monitor is. Mine's 16:9. I have it at automatic, but yours may be different if you have a wide monitor. So that's really based on your monitor. Have it at automatic. You're good to go there. If you are having issues with this, if it is still cutting off a little bit, maybe it's not the full length or width of the monitor, then you can change the aspect ratio. But for automatic, I've seen that it's worked perfectly fine. Now, the field of view, this is a big one, and something cool with console players as well. You guys can adjust your field of view for Black Ops Cold War. Don't know why, You can't do it for Warzone. I really don't, but you can't. So they did add this feature into Black Ops Cold War. I have mine set to 110. Now, if you are changing your field of view, I recommend changing it between 105 and 120. I know some players throw it on 120, they max it out, but my eyesight's not the best, so I'm squinting to see the guys this big on the monitor. I don't want that, right? I want to be able to actually see them, know where I'm shooting, so I throw mine at 110. Works best for me. Again, really up to you. ADS field of view, you want to make sure that this is set to affected because it's not going to change your screen that much as it would if it was on independent. You can see the difference here. If it's on independent, it's actually going to zoom in a lot more than it would for affected. Affected is going to pretty much take your field of view into consideration. So make sure it's on affected. It just makes the most sense. You're not going to be thrown off by the zoom. Same with the vehicle aiming. Just keep it on affected. Now, the frame rate, make sure that you are throwing this on unlimited, or if you do have it on custom, just max this out. Again, as I mentioned, frame rates are your friends. You want a high frame rate, or you want high frames per second. So throw that on unlimited. I have mine on unlimited, or you could throw it on custom. Up to you guys, but either one. If you're doing custom, just max it out. I believe 300 is the max there, or just keep it unlimited. You don't need to change the frame rate for your menu, so just leave these on 60. You don't need that. All right, now the big dogs, the big part, the stuff that's really going to take a hit to your CPU, GPU, frames per second, visuals, all the above, that stuff. It's going to be starting with the details and textures. So first we're jumping into texture quality, and before I talk about what is best, keep in mind that I'm doing a best combination of things. So yes, you could lower this all the way down. Yes, you could lower the model quality all the way down, but your game's not going to look the best. So the settings that I'm going to show you guys is not only going to have, it's going to have the best frames and visuals, kind of the happy medium there. So keep that in mind. Again, you guys can get better frames if you literally lower everything all the way down, but your game's just going to look like a Nintendo 64 game. So we're going to jump into it. Texture quality, I have it set to medium. The model quality, medium. You don't really need high texture quality or model quality. Keep those on medium, that's good. Same with the special effects quality. You don't need that on high, throw that on medium. Screen space reflection, disable that. Object view distance, low. And the water tessellation, disabled. You don't need that. The game's still going to look good with that disabled, with that object view distance low. And it's going to help out with the frames. It's going to make your gameplay smoother. And now the shadow and lighting, the volumetric lighting, throw that on low. Basically for sunbeams and stuff, you don't need that. Throw that on low. Shadow quality, same thing. I threw it on low. You don't really need to have a big shadow quality. You don't need to have high shadow quality when you're playing this game. Doesn't really make a difference there. Dynamic shadows, I recommend keeping this on all because you do want to see the shadows of your enemies. So you can see here in the two examples they give us, we have the one on the right here that has the shadows, one on the left there that does not have the shadows. Now, if you're playing, you do want to see enemy shadows just in case they're in a room and you can see the shadow in the corner, whatever. Keep those on all, but it doesn't really take a big hit to your VRAM usage. It's not going to really affect your frames in a negative way, so throw that on all. Special effect shadows, disable that. Weapon shadow, disable that. You don't need those two. Now, the ray tracing, I just have these all disabled because you don't really need to have these little shadows in the background. You don't need to have the sun shadows. It doesn't make a difference. It's not going to make your game go from 64 to current to PC settings like that. It's not going to change it. Not going to be a big difference. Just disable them. You don't need them. The next is the post-processing effects. Now, if you guys do have the NVIDIA graphic card, I think there's an NVIDIA DLSS, I believe it's called. I don't know where it's at in the, I think it might be in the post-processing effects, but I'm not sure where it's at. I obviously do not have it in my settings, maybe because my monitor is not high, whatever, I don't really know. But if you do have that, you could just set that to performance, okay? Performance, because you just want the best performance, so keep that in mind. Anyway, anti-aliasing quality, I have it on high, because it really doesn't make a huge difference. It doesn't take a big effect on the VRAM, and you do want your game to look good. So if you're on PC, you expect to have PC graphics. You expect to have just as high as a visual as you can get. So throw anti-aliasing quality on high, but it's still not going to take a big effect in your frames. Ambient occlusion quality, disable that. You don't really need soft shadows around objects. You don't need that. Motion blur, definitely disable that. Look at these, right? Look at the motion blur. Disable that. It's just going to throw you off. It's going to make it harder to see. Yeah, you don't want that. The quality, obviously, I have low, but I have it disabled, so it doesn't really matter. Disable motion blur. You don't want that. Subsurface scattering. You don't need that as well. Disable that. And then the order independent transparency. Disable that. Again, not going to make a big difference to your graphics, but it's going to help with your frames. Now, in the advanced settings, I do have the VRAM usage target set to the default 80%. You can bump it up, but again, if you're trying to get the best frames, the highest frames per second, I recommend just leaving it on default. The display gamma, we're on a computer, we're on a monitor. The HD TV don't need that. Keep it on computer unless you are on an HD TV, then you could change it, I guess, but we're not, so keep it on computer. And then the display adapter, it's going to auto select for you. I have the NVIDIA GeForce graphics card, but no matter what I pick there, it's literally the same thing, so I just have it on auto select. If you guys do just want to see some of the audio, I'll just show you briefly what I have in my audio. I won't get too much into it, but something just to keep in mind is the audio presets. High boost is probably going to get you the best footsteps, so change it to high boost if you want. I have master volume on 100, whatever. You guys can copy these if you want to do it. If you don't, that's totally cool, but just wanted to share that. High boost is what I have set for my audio preset. Those that have stuck around, of course, thank you so much for sticking around and listening to me. I'm going to give you a little bit of an extra oomph in this. We're going to go over the NVIDIA graphic filters. Graphic settings filters. Yes, if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, you can set filters to make the game look better, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So if you hit Alt-Z, it's going to pull up this little menu here. If you do, again, have the GeForce Experience downloaded, make sure you have that downloaded if you do have an NVIDIA graphics card to set these filters. And then you can see here we have the game filter. You can simply click on that to open up the game filters, or you can just hit Alt F3 and it's going to pull up the game filters for you. Yes, it also pulled up my settings, but whatever. So we're going to go into the filters. The first one, and again, these filters are going to be pretty much for a lot of pro players play on these filters. I've played around with them. These are the best filters that I've used in my opinion, so up to you guys if you want to adjust them or anything, but these are my filters. So we have the tint color 0, tint intensity 0, the temperature is a 0.5, and then the vibrance is 66.8. I don't know why I said it like that, 66.8, but anyway, you guys get the gist. The next one we're going to jump into is the brightness and the contrast, 0% exposure, 13% contrast. The highlights are 100%, shadows negative 100%, and then the gamma is 0%. And the last one is the sharpen, which is going to be 60% sharpen, 40% ignore film grain, or should I say 99% evil, 1% hot gas.
1% evil, 99% hot gas.
Wrong-o.
Anyway, guys, I hope this video helps you out again. Smack that thumbs up if it did help you out in any way, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for stopping by. Peace.